I want to use this video to describe, to explain, to communicate two things that drivers are doing that's preventing them from getting sponsorship. Hello race drivers, it's Enzo here with something really important. Motorsport sponsorship, one of the biggest hurdles that drivers face when they're trying to make a career. You can be on the brink of F1, on the brink of IndyCar, on the brink of NASCAR, but you still can't get the money. Or you can be just starting out and you can't get the money to even do the first championship, whether it's karts or cars or bikes or boats or planes, whatever it is you're racing. The cash to pay for you to compete in the first place before you get picked up is difficult to come by because it costs so much. Like the first rung of the ladder now, if you're going for F1 and you're thinking, right, I want to get into F4, like German or Italian F4, like the top championships, teams will charge you over $300,000, euros, pounds. It's crazy. That's the entry level. And you've got to be in the championship for the F1 teams to spot you. And if you go over to America, it's kind of like $250,000 to do USF 2000, which is pretty much one of the first rungs of the ladder for IndyCar. Now, how are you supposed to do it? It's impossible, actually, to some people, because they can't even get their head around how to even get 10,000 together, let alone $250,000 or even $350,000 just to compete. And then you got to be good enough. Then you probably got to do 2 years. You got to do all the testing as well. It's difficult. It's extremely hard. So we need to come up with a plan, or at least in this video, because the other videos show you how to do it that I've done. And there's other people on the internet that do actually give you insights to how to sell sponsorship, which is great. And I did a book about it, for crying out loud. So the tools are out there, but still I can see people making the mistakes. They're exactly the same as entrepreneurs make when they're setting up a business or when they're coming up with a business idea. Race drivers also make the same mistakes. And these two death rattles to sponsorship that I want to speak about today are important. So please hear me out. This is one of the most important videos I'm going to do on sponsorship. It's the two mistakes that drivers are making that they are preventing you and drivers from getting sponsorship and the cash to race. Number one, the first one is thinking of the money first. With a company, let me just explain to you as an entrepreneur starting a company. If you start a company and you're trying to think of the idea, like what's the next biggest thing? How can I get money? I want to start a business so I can earn loads of cash and I can have this millionaire lifestyle, billionaire lifestyle. What's the idea behind it? I've got to think about it. What can it be? And when you start a company on the income being the most important thing first, you will struggle. You'll chase. You'll go from idea to idea. Now it's going to be something about cryptocurrency. So I'm going to go there. I'm going to put all my effort into there. Okay, it's not there anymore. It's something else. And you're chasing the money. It's so hard to succeed. All the people that you admire in the business world, it wasn't about money first. It was about creating value for a sector. It was about finding a product that's answering the problems that everybody is struggling with right now, a solution. They came up with a solution, or they created value in a certain industry, and as a byproduct, then they got the cash. So it has to be, first, how can I grab attention by offering people what they want? And we'll price it in a way that we do actually earn money. Brilliant. But really, it's the product first. This is what drivers miss out on. They have a budget from a race team. They're told, let's just say it's 100 grand. It's 100 grand to race in this championship. The team asks you for that money and you pay the team and they run the car or whatever you're racing for the season. Most of it, then you've got other things to buy as well, obviously, but 100 grand ticket. Okay, I've got to get 100 grand. How am I going to do it? I know. I'm just going to offer a big sponsorship deal for 75 grand. And I give people, if they pay 75 grand, they get the whole car. So one main prime sponsor, majority sponsor. And then I'm going to have smaller sponsors on the car, stickers on the car, decals on the car. and I'm going to charge them 10 grand and I get quite a few of them. And before you know it, I've got 100 grand. Great. This may sound like an option and something that you maybe you've done it yourself, but really, if you think about that, all you've done is kind of taken a guess, a shot in the dark of, I think the car being in the colors of this company is worth about 75 grand, and I'm happy with that. Are the company, just ask this, the companies that you're going to approach, are they really getting 75 grand's worth of value? Are you going to find them 75 grand's worth of new customers? Because just putting a sticker on the car, even if the championship's on TV, believe it or not, it's not worth anywhere near 75. So you're just pricing the packages. I'm not just saying you, it's drivers in general. I did it myself when I was driving as well. You get so focused on get the budget together, and you just presume that what putting a sponsor on the car is worth X amount. You've done no market research. You haven't really been out there and thought, hang on a minute, 75 grand, how much would that give a company if they spent it on Facebook advertising, targeting the very people that have searched for a product that's like theirs? You don't stand a chance. 75 grand for a sticker on a car, or 75 grand in targeted advertising in Facebook. It's not even close. They're going to get so many more customers on Facebook and Instagram compared to just a sticker on the car that somebody sees flash past. And if you say it's on TV in front of millions of people and streamers, and when it's on social media, yeah, great, but you just see that. You don't really take notice of it. I'm not really looking for that product. So I'm not really thinking I'm going to look into the racing and see a company I'm going to buy from it, because you're not there. You're there to be entertained. You're not there to shop. So actually putting stickers on a car is not worth anything, really. So I want you to think a little bit deeper. I want you to flip things. It's like, how can I create value for a company? Right, I've got to find them customers. Or I've got to entertain their current customers. I've got to entertain their clients. I've got to entertain their sales force. I've got to come up with packages that allow me to do that through motorsport. Then I'll put the price tag on it that pretty much matches the value that I'm providing. Maybe it's only 10 grand. They get 20 people come for the weekend. They do get sponsored, their names all over the car, or their name all over the car. I also offer them B2B with the other companies I've got on the car, because they have got a good match. So it's like a business network at a race meeting. Maybe it's 10 grand. Maybe it's worth that. I could swallow that. I could sell that. I think I could sell 10 of them in a year. Now you're starting to think. It's value first, priced correctly, and the profit that you make off that little company you've got, that business of promoting others through sport, pays for your racing. So I want you to do it in that way. We're thinking about using motorsport to help companies grow, to help them meet new customers, to help them meet their goals. And you're giving them a viable option here. You're saying, if you use motorsport, it's got a captive audience. These are the kind of people that are here, the age, what they're into, their hobbies. You can get this, right? You can get these demographics from the championship that you want to race for. These are the kind of people I've got access to. So we can advertise in front of these people. Brilliant. But also we can entertain. We can do track days where we bring your clients and they actually drive the race car, or they have an experience at a race circuit. I'll organize that. Don't worry. It'll be 700 per head, and I'll put it all together. You just turn up. The day will be amazing. Think like this. Think, what do companies need? They need profit. They need to make money. You need to show them how they can do that by getting more customers, or by entertaining their current clients or future clients. Value first, then price it. Please don't just come up with some fictitious fraction of your budget. I need 100 grand to race, so I'm just going to charge them 75, because it kind of makes math sense. You've got to create 75 grand's worth of value if you're going to go down that route. So mistake number one is just thinking of the money. Make sure it makes sense. It's going to be a lot more sellable, and you give them more than what it's valued. And if you think, I can't really sell my championship, think about bigger championships. Go and knock on the door of a team that's in a huge championship and say, right, I want to sell sponsorship for your team. Because you're a lot more sellable than I am as a driver, I'll take 10% of the cut. Whatever I find. You go to a celebrity, you go to an influencer, you go to someone in racing who's high up, and you say, right, I want to sell sponsorship for you. So if I get you 100 grand, I keep my 10 grand as commission. All you've done is said Bob meets Corp or whoever it is. There is always ways where you can earn money, but all you got to do is create value for the people that have access, who have your money. And if you genuinely do that, then you've got a chance. Number two, the second thing that people do, having no patience. That's a big mistake. Another thing that entrepreneurs do and people that are starting up companies is they expect to be earning profit by month one, by year one. They're not willing to put in all the work in order to create the brand, to learn their industry, and to start to think the long game. They think short. So not only do they want the money, they want it now. So if you're a driver again, and you're just thinking of money and you're not really pricing your sponsorship proposals or your packages correctly, your products correctly, but you're also not being patient and understanding this could take 2 years before the money starts to come in, you're going to fail again. It's going to be hard to get that money in as it is. But if you've got a time frame of like, I've got to start racing in 3 months' time, it probably ain't going to work unless you really get lucky. So patience is one of the key skills or one of the key ingredients to have as an individual when you're setting up a career. It might not happen this year. It might not happen in year 2. It might take 3 years of you purely grafting, hustling, working, creating value for companies before you make enough profit to spend it on racing. I want you to be prepared for it. So if you're aiming for like the big championships like F4, maybe. And you've heard me say this, think big, start small. Maybe you go for a championship that is invisible. It's stupidly small. The working class person could actually pay for it, or middle class person could pay for it out their own way. So it's like a 20 grand championship. It's better to do a 20 grand championship than stay at home doing nothing. Why? Because you'll be getting better at the skill of driving. You'll be winning. You'll be building your own brand. You'll start to get really small sponsors, $100, $500 there, 2 grand here. But you're giving them a client maybe. You're finding them one customer. They pay you 2 grand. You give them one customer. You just found them in the motorsport world. It could be a printing company, whatever. You find them a customer and it's worth about 3 grand to them, but they've paid you 1 grand, 1,000. That's how you do business. And then you build these sponsors. You've got about 20 of them on the car. Can you imagine? Really small ones, but 20. And then you go and do well in the championship. And you move up to a championship then that's probably worth about 50, 60 grand in year 2. You then provide a little bit more for them sponsors. So they turn up the wick. Now you're charging them double. And they know that what you offer them is working. They're going to pay more. They say, right, we paid Bob 1,000. He brought us 2 clients, which is worth 6 grand to us. Imagine if we pay him more. Let's give him 5 grand this time and see if he can really turn that into 15, 20 grand for us. And because all you're doing is finding them clients or giving them some value, track days or something, you can turn the volume up on the price. But it's got to be aligned with what you're offering. And then over 2 years, you start to gain momentum. Your skills on the circuit are getting better. Your skills at selling and attracting sponsorship is getting better. And then in year 3, you'll be on your way. That's a lot better, like I say, than sitting at home, aiming for a big championship you've got no chance of even getting the money for. And let alone if you get the money, because you haven't got the experience, you're going to suck. You're going to be last. So it's not going to do anything. It's better to start small, build. Just like some of these millionaires, billionaires that you admire, they started on a market stall. They started selling fish. And that's where they picked up their skills to sell. You have to do the same. You share a lot with entrepreneurs. As a race driver, you're in the business world. You just happen to race as well. You want business to pay for your racing, then you've got to be a business person. That means you've got to be an entrepreneur. Just your job is to promote companies and to help companies grow by using motorsport. But you can do it anyway. You can earn money washing cars. You can hold down 3 jobs, and that's how you pay for your first race season. And then you've got the car paid for, the 20 grand one. You got the car paid for. You start to get sponsors on. You build that way. So however you get the money in, you get the money in. But it's a lot easier for a small championship, and then build the sponsors on using the white space on the car, piggybacking off that championship, and build from there. I hope this makes sense. It'll only fit for some of you, because some of you might be an F3 and you can't go back to bloody a 20 grand championship. Fair enough. But there's a lot of people out there that they want to start. Maybe they've done 1 or 2 years of racing. Maybe they've done 10 years of karting, but they haven't got the money to do the actual racing championship. Don't go ahead of yourself and try and go for a big championship you've got no chance of getting the money for. Instead, start a bit smaller, learn the skills, get 10, 15 small sponsors on the car. It's like a network party on your car then. This sponsor can do business with this sponsor. That's amazing. And just by giving you $500 or whatever it is, all of a sudden they've got a new customer because it's someone else that's sponsoring you. It gets bigger and bigger, but that's the way to do it. Start small. Get good at the skill of selling. Make sure you price all your packages correctly and provide value for others. And then over time, you'll get yours. You'll be on the grid. You'll be racing. I hope you take this to heart. So it's not chasing the money to start with, and it's having the patience. Think about the long game. You can waste 20 years dreaming and not touching the championship you want, or you can think about this like a business person. Go from step 1, step 2, step 3, and you'll have the foundation there to help you race. And even if it takes 5 years to get the first championship, because you're really struggling to get the 20 grand, at least you'll be racing then. 5 years will go. You're still young. Even if you're 30, you're still young. You can still start racing then and make a career. I hope this helps. I hope something in here, you can just grab 1 or 2 things I've said of inspiration and you can start on your way. See you next time.